Hi everyone, this is Guy, and I wanted to walk through some of the common errors that I see in the assignment with Excel. So what you see on the screen is an example of what I might get from the student. And the first thing I'm going to do is click on the filter button here. So you can see this is a table. Here's the border of the table here. And this symbol on the list arrow in A2 indicates that the table has been filtered by this column. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to select all. I want to show you that on another column where it shows on the screen. This select all, if I click this, it unselects everything, and then I can click the ones that I want. So that's what I'm going to do over here. It's a little off screen, you won't see it. But I'm going to select all, and that will show all the rows of the table. And I'm going to decrease this a little bit so it fits on the screen. Maybe just a little bit more. Okay. Alright, so now that we have this on the screen, you can also see that the table rows have been sorted by this column, and the little arrow that you see here indicates that. There are a couple other things that I noticed when I first look at this, and one is that these little green triangles in a couple of the cells. So those are Excel's way of telling you that something is probably wrong with the formula. So I'm going to click here, and what you see is that there is no formula in this total. It's just a number. And there's a warning icon that pops up here, and there's a list arrow on that if you mouse over it. So it tells you what Excel thinks the problem is, and it gives you some options. So you can get some help, you can ignore the error, but the best choice for me right now is to restore to calculated column formula. So it's going to make this calculation the same as the other ones in this column. So I'll do that, and you see the green triangle went away. And if you look at this, the formula, it's sum B3 to E3, and if you click in the next cell down, it's B4 to E4. So all these are the same all the way down. So I'm going to look for that. And then we're going to look at some other formulas here. So we have the subtotal row, and we have the total row. Now, the subtotal formula that we used, I'll click here so you can see it in the formula bar. We used this 109 function number. And what that means is that the subtotal is going to be the subtotal of the cells, the rows in the table that are not filtered, the ones that are showing. So if we filter out some rows, it's going to subtotal the ones that are left. There's a dozen different codes that you can put in here to do different things. And then the next part of that, so we have the function number, then the next is the reference. So this is the range, and you can see it outlined in blue here. And we can adjust the range by mousing over the corner handles. You see you get a double pointed arrow, and you can change the range by just dragging that. But this is really the range that we want. So I'm going to click OK. And so we have that formula. Now to get this same formula copied across the row, I'm going to use the Autofill handle. And that is this little green square in the corner of the selection border. So when you mouse over that, you see the cursor changes to a plus. So then if I left click and drag, I can copy or fill that same formula across. So now you see it's the same formula, but now this one is doing column F, which is what we want. So if I click down in the sum function, we see the sum is good there. It's B3 to B14. So again, if I click that, it's this here. If I click over, oops, I messed that up. I didn't want to alter that formula. So let me click over to the next formula. This is C3 to C14, but notice the green triangle in this. So what happened here is this is summing BC to C17. See what it did? So when you insert a sum function, or any other function really, Excel is going to look around and try to guess what you want to sum, or average, or whatever. And so that's what it's going to select. And so what this tells me is that the person filling this out was doing these formulas one at a time. They were not using the autofill handle. So they did the formula here, then they did the formula here. Oops, didn't mean to change that. But when they did it here, they inserted the sum function, and Excel automatically selected the two cells to the left, and they didn't catch that. So the autofill handle is the way to do this. Now again, because there's a green triangle, you have the little icon here, and if you click on that, it says inconsistent formula, and you have an option to copy the formula from the left. So Excel is willing to help you fix this. So Excel did that. Another thing that I've done here is this sum here is for column F. So let's color that the same color of green, so we know what that is. And then these sums are for the columns. All right. So again, let's color those to represent what they are summing, which is the columns. All right. And so what I want to do now in G17 here is I want to add up each of these column totals, and when I add all four of those together, that's the total for all the cells in the yellow area. And that total should be the same as totaling up the row totals, which is what we did here in F17. So what I did is I click over here in G17, I added the sum function, but look what it's doing. It's simply repeating whatever is over here in F17. So it doesn't matter what's in F17, it's going to be duplicated over here. Well, that doesn't really tell you anything. That's not what we're trying to do. So I'm going to click in it, and so now you see the selection border, and if I move the cursor pointer over the blue selection border, it turns to double crossed arrows, which means I can drag it. So I'm going to drag the selection over here. I'm going to select what I want to be in there, which is this range of B to E in row 17, and click OK. And so now the total is the same as the total in F17, but it's right, because now we're adding the total of all the rows, and that equals the total of all the columns. So that gives you confidence, in addition to Excel checking on your formulas, gives you confidence that they're doing what you want them to do. Another piece of our table here is to do sorting and filtering. So the first is the sort. So I'm going to click on the list arrow up here in column F. And so you get a lot of options here. And so the first one is sort smallest to largest. So I'm going to do that. And now you see it's arranged the whole table by this column. And then I'm going to go back over to the month. And I'm going to filter it again. This is going to be a little off screen, I think. Let me see if I can, maybe I can do this so you can see it. There you go. So I'm going to deselect all, and I'm going to pick the 3 months that I want, April, May, and June. Click OK. And so now what our table has are the 3 months that we filtered. So it shows us again the table was sorted and filtered. And now we see that our subtotal is different from our total, because the subtotal is just totaling the rows that are showing in the table here, where the total is still totaling the whole table whether it's showing or not. And so the last thing I wanted to cover in this is that your formulas so far have been either doing something with the cells to the left or the cells, above, but the formula doesn't have to be next to the cells. So I want to show you that by moving this formula. So this is summing this row here, and it does that no matter where I actually park it. I can move it anywhere I want. Oops. And it still sums what I told it to sum. And I can use the autofill and fill down. And you see there's nothing in the row below. So if I click in this, you see it's summing B18 to E18. Well, there's nothing in B18. If I put numbers in that row, it will sum them. So that was something I wanted to make you understand, was that your formula can use cells from anywhere in the same worksheet or even a different worksheet. And the cells that are used in the formula don't have to be next to the cell that has the formula in it. So you can edit the formulas in two ways. One is by editing up here. You can use your backspace key to delete, and you can select and just type something different. That's one way to edit the formula. And another way is that if you click in the formula, then you can drag the selection wherever you'd like it to go. So I hope those things will be a help to you in doing the assignment this week, and thank you for watching.